Alright guys, I'm almost to the field. Wish me luck. I hope I can get it back. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. You know, I'm not, I'm 75% sure that I can get this thing back, based on what happened yesterday with the thinner poles. These poles are 1.25 inches thick, so they should still have some flex to it, but I should have a little bit more control than I had yesterday. And I've got the FPV camera, and I've got the hook, so wish me luck. Alright guys, I got my quad back. So I'm going to tell you the story about how we got this thing back. I want to first thank my good friend Rob and my friend that I've met him a few times now, but his name is Hung. Hung is the one that actually helped me finally get this thing out of there. So it all started a couple of days ago, about a week ago, when I got this thing caught up in the tree. You guys probably already saw that video. I'm not going to go over that, but it ended up being about 40 to 45 feet up in the tree, and I went out there. Hung sent me some pictures. He said, I was out there and he was flying. I said, hey, if you find my quad, let me know. And the next day he called me back. He said, hey, I spotted it. I'll send you some pictures. So he took some pictures on his cell phone, on his iPhone, and it was very grainy because he had to go far away to be able to actually spot it. And I went back the next day. I said, okay, I'm going to go out there and check it out. So I went out there to check it out just to kind of see where it was. I wasn't expecting to actually look for it, so I didn't bring out any equipment. But Hung was there. He had this 20-foot long pole, and then Rob came out and he had some of those flag poles, those long, tall flags for mini quads to use for gates to fly through. Not the oval ones, but the straight up ones. So we fashioned a bunch of those things together, and the pole was just long enough to get it up to the top, but if you can imagine a 40-foot pole, it gets super wobbly. I mean, like noodly. So we kind of had to lay the pole into the tree and kind of decipher where to push it. You can imagine if you kind of push it to the right, the whole thing goes left. If you push it to the left, the whole thing goes right, like this. So really, really hard to do. So we did that for a full hour at least, and we still couldn't get it out. We tapped it, but the way it was sat in the tree, it's like the tree had this branch that was just like this, and the quad was sitting basically perfectly matched to this thing. So it was really caught in the saddle of this branch. So I decided, well, hey, I know I can get some 1.25 inch conduit, electrical conduit, and I thought because it was thicker, it would be a little bit stiffer. I got 50 feet of it, so they're 10 feet apiece. It has a bigger end, so they just slot together, and I taped them together. I went out there today, and I immediately, and I have a FPV camera on the end of the pole, so I could see once I would get the pole up there. I taped them all together. I lifted it up, and I could not get the camera end of it off the ground. And it's light, you know. It has this tiny little battery and a tiny little camera, so that wasn't a factor. It's just that this conduit, when it gets, you know, past 20 feet, it just becomes like a noodle, flaccid. So I was like, oh man. So, but I did bring along with me my slingshot and some fishing line and some fishing lures, or the sinkers, the weights. So I ended up shooting some fishing line over the branch, and the weights would come down, and we would we'd attach another rope to it, and that would go over. We pulled that up into the tree, and then we try to get the branch, and we were shaking it around. We broke off some branches. Well, we thought, well, man, if we could break off the branches where it's set, it would be great, you know. And man, my aim was really good. I mean, like the first 6 shots that I did were dead on target. I couldn't believe I was doing this well, but I would basically, as a wrist rocket, I'd pull it back to my chin, aim it, and man, I couldn't believe how good aim I had with it, because I've never hardly shot the thing. And I was packing up to leave, and I sent Hung a message saying, hey, I'm out here, and he ended up taking some time off work, which is just stunning. Thank you so much. But I thought, well, if we got his stiff poles and stuck it in the inside of my conduit poles, it would make it stiffer. So when he came out, he said, well, let's just tape it to the outside. So we had 20 feet of the pole he brought taped to the 40 feet of pole that I had with the FPV camera on the outside, and it took us a while to get the pole in the right position. It took us probably a good 20 minutes to even get it close, because as it would lay in the tree, it would be off to one side, and we have to manipulate it to get it off and into the other side. And it had a hanger on it to cook the quad with, and it was just tough to get to. Finally, Hung, through a lot of diligence, we could see through the FPV camera. We were right at it, but we had no hook. The hook had actually bent off. So he was manipulating, and sure enough, he touched it, and it moved out of the seat that it was in. It was seated in like this, and it kind of went like this. And it was caught on another branch. There was a big branch here, and there was a small branch that it was tucked into. And so his arms are getting tired. You know, it's really it's hot, and there's these ants down on the ground. It's crazy. So I took over. Every time I would get it, it would go in the wrong spot. And finally, I got it in the right spot. I was like balancing it. He said, "Push up," and I pushed up, and I was right there. I could see it, and I could see it on my FPV monitor, which I had right in front of me. And so I was poking it. And I looked up, and I got it in the right spot, and I hit it. And sure enough, it fell down. It came down about 20 feet. I was like, "Yeah!" We were high-fiving each other. We were great. So we untaped the poles. We took his we took the pole that he brought, and I was able to knock it out. And as it came down, I actually caught it right like this. I was like, "I got it!" I was like, "Yes!" Okay. All right, guys. This is my friend Hung here.
Yeah, I kept my system.
Yeah, he spotted my quad in the tree, and we just poked it out of the tree. I mean, it was we were working for about with me and Rob, we were working for about an hour. This is the conduit, the electrical conduit here. 40 feet of this. Or did we do 50 feet? No, it's
40 feet.
But
yeah.
it was so bendy that we couldn't even pick it up. So Hung had this this stiffer line that we put. We tipped it to the outside, and we were able to get it set up into the tree, way up there. And okay, we got to show them the FPV camera. Okay. All right, guys. So this is what I had in there. This is the MC01. I've got a battery pack taped on right here, and with a hanger, and basically I poked it out and it came down about 20 feet, and then we were able to get it down from there. So, woohoo! It was so good, and it came down just like this. I actually haven't even plugged it in yet, but the battery lead was unplugged. That means my brand new Team Legit Bonka battery is probably just fine. So I'm gonna plug this in. I gotta see if it works. And let's see, my FPV antenna, it looks like it's intact. It just lost the cap there. Yeah, baby. I'm gonna fly this for about another month just to kind of test it out and see how I like it. I'll do a final review on it. And I'm gonna give this to Hung because, you know, companies send me things all the time. They sent me this. I should give some props to gearbest.com. They sent this to me for free for review. So Hung, I'm going to give this to him. And I also got another, the 250 version of this that was sent to me straight from Hollybro. So I have one of these, and I thought that he could probably use this. He really, you know, he came out twice. You know, I didn't even ask him to, and he was sitting there with binoculars. He was the guy that first spotted this for me. So Hung, thank you so much. This will be yours in about a month or so. So I appreciate it. Guys, thanks for all of you that were concerned and gave me all kinds of different suggestions for getting the quad out of the tree. I really appreciate it. But no quad left behind. This is the second quad that I've had to retrieve. And this is the second one that I got back. I've never left one behind yet. It was a crazy adventure, and hopefully you guys liked it. Thanks. Bye. Be good. So we had 20 feet of his pole taped to the outside of 40 feet of my pole. That didn't sound good.